SpaceX's headquarters is unlike anything built by a private company. From its massive Hawthorne factory to the sprawling Starbase campus in Texas, every corner was built to push the boundaries of space exploration. Here's an inside look at SpaceX's astonishing $5 billion headquarters, along with all its secrets. The billion-dollar headquarters. The place people mean when they say the SpaceX headquarters sits at 1 Rocket Road, Hawthorne, California, in the Los Angeles area, next to Hawthorne Municipal Airport. It is a factory. The building went up in 1966. It was built by the Northrop Corporation to make fuselage sections for the Boeing 747. So the walls that now hold rockets were first raised to hold parts of a passenger jet. For decades, it was just another industrial site. Before SpaceX arrived, the property had even been eyed for redevelopment into self-storage and RV storage. That was the plan for it, storage units. Then SpaceX came in around late 2007 and early 2008. The company leased and repurposed the site as it scaled up for the Falcon 9. It did not construct a new headquarters from the ground up. It took an old aircraft plant and turned it into a rocket plant. The main building is about 510,000 square feet across 3 stories. The campus is more than one building. Reports from the mid-2010s counted up to 10 buildings on the site. What SpaceX did inside is the part that matters. It made the site vertically integrated. That means one location where an entire orbital-class rocket, the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy, and a spacecraft, Dragon, can be built largely under one roof. Engines, stages, avionics, flight software, and mission control in the same place. There was a reason SpaceX picked this spot in the first place. Southern California is an aerospace region thick with engineers, machinists, and suppliers built up over decades of aircraft and defense work. Taking over an existing plant here meant lower startup costs and a ready pool of talent instead of raising a factory from bare dirt and hiring in from nothing. The building was cheap to move into. The people around it were the real prize. Today, Hawthorne is still an aerospace hub now shared with companies like Archer Aviation outside, in front. A retired Falcon 9 first stage booster stands on display. It is a monument. It is also the first thing visitors see when they reach the gate. You can find the site by the corner it sits on, and you can find it from afar because the booster tower is over an area of low industrial buildings.
This sucker is by far the tallest thing around.
Now the money. SpaceX leased the property. It did not buy the main building outright, so the one clear price tag from that era does not even belong to SpaceX. In 2014, the roughly 510,000 square foot property, including 1 Rocket Road and an address next to it, was sold by its owner to another investor for $46.7 million. That worked out to about $91 to $101 per square foot at the time. SpaceX was the sole tenant on a lease running through at least January 2023, with options to renew. There is no public figure for what SpaceX itself spent to fit the place out. The clean rooms, the heavy foundations for rocket assembly, the machines, those costs are not disclosed. The company kept growing on the same block. One of the few numbers we do have is a recent $22 million purchase of a 6-acre parcel on Wilkie Avenue, 1 street west of the main campus, for more facilities, and people work there. A lot of them. One recent report cited over 6,000 employees in Hawthorne. It is still the core hub for Falcon rocket work and Dragon. Then in 2024, the headquarters moved. In July of that year, Musk announced the plan on X, pointing to California laws and regulations affecting families and businesses, with a new state notification law as the last straw. The post drew thousands of replies. People argued over California's taxes and business climate against the advantages of Texas, over what it would mean for jobs in Hawthorne, and over whether the work would really leave. Later that year, the company confirmed the official headquarters was now Starbase, Texas, in the Boca Chica area near Brownsville. But here's the key point most of those arguments missed. Hawthorne stayed open, and it stayed important. The paperwork moved, the Falcon work did not. To this day, Hawthorne remains the core hub for Falcon and Dragon, with thousands of people still building rockets there every day. The building was a bargain by the standards of what happens inside it. A former Boeing 747 plant, one of the few places on Earth where a full orbital rocket and a crewed spacecraft take shape under the same roof, sitting inside a property that changed hands for less than $50 million. The value was never concrete. It was what SpaceX poured into it. Consider what under one roof actually means here. Most rockets are built the way most complicated machines are built, with a web of outside suppliers shipping in pieces from all over the country, each one adding cost, delay, and a phone call when something goes wrong. SpaceX flipped that. Inside Hawthorne, the engines, the stages, the avionics, and the flight software are made in the same building, so a design change and the machine that builds it are never more than a walk apart. That is the real reason space fans have been fascinated by this place for years. It is the fact that a full rocket, start to finish, comes together in one room with a used booster parked out front as proof that the whole thing works. And the new headquarters, Starbase, is not even a building. It is a whole industrial campus rising out of a remote stretch of the Texas coast. Since the move, Starbase serves as the official headquarters, built around the Starship and Super Heavy program. It has production buildings, test stands, launch towers, and support facilities, all spread across hundreds of acres. It has grown so much that Starbase was incorporated as a city, a company town with its own name on the map. That did not happen overnight. The site has been under continuous development since the mid-2010s, and the pace only exploded as Starship became the focus. A remote coastal area became a working spaceport, then a growing town with housing and amenities for the people who run it. Where crews once worked under open tents, there are now giant halls. The main factory, the Star Factory, runs to roughly 1 million square feet or more, joined by another huge assembly building and new launch towers and pads pushing out across the flats. Such growth reshapes a region. Starbase has driven real economic impact in South Texas, bringing jobs, investment, and tourism to a corner of the state that had little industry before. It has also caused friction. Neighbors and officials have raised concerns about noise, traffic, environmental reviews, and how fast the whole thing is changing the area's character. A spaceport is loud, and a company town is a strange thing to live next to. There is no single disclosed figure for a headquarters building at Starbase because there is no single building. This is a multi-year, multi-hundred-acre project. Land, power, roads, water, hauled into a difficult coastal environment. Factories, launch pads, unofficial community estimates have thrown around a number close to $2 billion in facilities spending tied to the wider Starship program. But that is not an official headquarters-specific figure. It is an outside guess. While the exact price of the SpaceX headquarters has never been made public, what has been made public is what it looks like on the inside. And that is where this gets strange. Inside the doors and mission control. Here's the first surprise about the SpaceX headquarters. You're not allowed in. Public information about the inside is limited by security, proprietary work, and ITAR restrictions, the rules that govern rocket technology. What we know comes from a small handful of authorized tours, the odd employee account, and a few photos where cameras were even allowed. The most famous crack is old. Back in 2010, SpaceX put out an official video of Musk walking through the Hawthorne factory, and it has pulled in millions of views over the years. It showed the open offices, the factory sitting right next to the desks, and a young company scaling fast. At the time, that repurposed 747 plant was where around 80% of each Falcon vehicle was built. That single tour is still the clearest look most people have ever gotten. Everything since has mostly been drone shots from outside, news segments about how secretive the campus is, and the occasional photo when a bay door happens to be open and a rocket part is showing. Start with the trick the building plays on you from the street. From the outside, it looks almost boring, like a giant warehouse or mall parking structure. Then you step through, and the ceiling lifts away, and the floor opens into an enormous industrial cathedral. White floors, white pillars painted with safety stripes, roped-off walkways guiding people through the chaos. Heavy blue hoists hang overhead, rated to lift up to 20 tons, able to pick a rocket section off the ground and swing it across the room. A central aisle runs straight through the middle, with workstations lined up on either side like a spine with ribs. This floor is the heart of the whole place. Rocket parts don't stand upright waiting to launch here. They lie on their sides on rollers and stands, cracked open so people can climb inside and work. Fuel tanks the size of grain silos, bearings, engine sections. And each zone on the floor does a different job. There's a carbon fiber area, a semi-clean room with large laser cutters and layering tables, where the light, strong skin of the rockets is shaped. There is a station for Merlin engine assembly and inspection, where full engines sit out in the open and workers do precision work on the thrusters and half domes. There is fuel tank welding done on huge circular machines that spin the giant cylinders and weld them with a steadiness no human hand could match. There is a 3D printing area for exotic lightweight parts. And there are clean rooms sealed off for the most sensitive work, like the Dragon capsules, where the staff move around in hairnets and booties like surgeons. The idea behind all of it is the same idea that turned the old 747 plant into a rocket factory. Keep everything in one place. And the engineers do sit close. This is one of the most talked about parts of the layout. SpaceX built the offices around open plan design, meant to force people to talk to each other. The engineering and design offices sit toward the front, historically packing around 300 people per floor across several levels, with more floors added over the years as the company grew. In some places, glass offices hang over the factory floor, so managers can look down at rockets taking shape below them. There is a separate area for the corporate and admin staff who are not building hardware, and the little human touches are there too. Conference rooms are often named after rocket pioneers and astronauts. There's even a VIP room with glass that can switch from clear to opaque at the flip of a switch, so a private meeting can vanish behind a fogged wall. Then there's the room everyone wants to see. Mission Control, it is real and it is working, sitting on the same campus as the welding and the cubicles. Behind glass, rows of desks hold about 30 stations, each with a stack of monitors, all facing a large projection screen showing telemetry, live camera views, and streams of data. To break the intensity, there are common areas. A lunch and break space with a coffee bar carrying playful names like Landing Gear Latte, displays of real flown hardware, including the first Dragon capsule that went to space, and a giant carbon fiber rocket leg. Music playing over the floor. Employees have described the feeling as a kind of space nerd energy, a place where the mission is on the walls and in the air. Now the people. The Hawthorne campus employs thousands, with reports citing 6,000 or more across the broader site. It is a mix of manufacturing technicians, aerospace engineers, quality control staff, avionics and software teams, and mission operations crews. Work happens around the clock in the key areas. Safety protocols, clean zones, and those roped walkways are everywhere. The culture leans on rapid iteration and hands-on problem solving, the build it, fly it, fix it rhythm the company is famous for, which brings us to the new headquarters and a floor even bigger than Hawthorne. At Starbase in Texas, the inside look comes mostly from a small number of authorized tours, the most famous being everyday astronauts walk through with Musk. And what they show is a place that used to be almost nothing.
A pretty good looking rocket factory building that we've almost completed.
That building is the Star Factory, joined by the huge assembly halls called the Mega Bay and Giga Bay. Inside, there are large open production floors built for speed, with separate zones for different ship sections, engine work, and final assembly. Musk describes it as a place slowly turning into a proper plant, with permanent walls and doors where there used to be nothing.
Well, this is a real factory that we're building here.
Yeah.
So, quite big.
It's hard to keep up with everything out here.
The idea behind the layout is what Musk calls linear adjacent flow, moving each ship from one station to the next, the way a car moves down an assembly line, so the whole building runs like one machine, and it is simply enormous. The goal is raw output. Musk is blunt about the scale he is aiming for.
Yeah, long term, probably be making 1,000 a year of the ship. So,
1,000 a year.
yeah, well, gotta build a city on Mars.
Yeah.
Even the Texas site, he says, could reach a serious rate of 100 a year. 100 ships a year from one site, 1,000 a year across the company, is the long-term dream. This is SpaceX's headquarters inside, a California factory hiding behind a plain wall, and a Texas spaceport still being poured. But none of it explains the number that made headlines this year. The reason SpaceX suddenly became one of the most valuable companies on the planet. For that, we have to talk about the money and the man. The man behind the factory here is the fact that reframes everything you just saw. The company that owns those factories is now, on paper, one of the largest in the world, and the man who controls it became the richest human being who has ever lived. For most of its life, SpaceX was private. Then it went public in the largest IPO in history on June 12, 2026. The company priced its shares at $135 each and raised roughly $75 billion, landing on the NASDAQ under the ticker SPCX. At that price, the whole company was valued at around $1.77 trillion, enough to pass the old record held by Saudi Aramco. Then it opened and it climbed. The stock opened near $150 and closed its first day up about 19%. Briefly pushing the company's value past $2 trillion. As of early July 2026, the stock trades in the low to mid $160, giving SpaceX a market capitalization of about $2.13 trillion. It has traded in a range of roughly $135 to $225 since going public, with about 13 billion shares outstanding. To see how wild that climb is, look at where the company was just a few years earlier. In early 2023, SpaceX was valued at around $137 billion. By mid-2025, private deals put it around $350 billion. By late 2025, it had reached $800 billion. By early 2026, some deals pushed it past $1 trillion, and the IPO blew the doors. A company does not have a net worth the way a person does. Its value is its market capitalization, and by that measure, the SpaceX net worth sits near $2.13 trillion. But not everyone is convinced. SpaceX is not yet a steadily profitable company, and some analysts have warned the price is running on hope. Before the IPO, Morningstar valued it far lower, closer to $780 billion, pointing to heavy losses and heavy spending. The market chose to price in the future instead: the growth of Starlink, the promise of a fully reusable Starship, and the launch business that already dominates the industry. Underneath the hype is a real machine. SpaceX pulled in roughly $15 to $16 billion in revenue in recent years, with its core launch and Starlink operations making money even as the company pours cash into the next era. And that machine has a track record most companies could only dream of. SpaceX built Falcon 1, the first privately developed liquid-fueled rocket to reach orbit. In 2008, it built Falcon 9, the first orbital-class rocket to land and fly again, with some boosters now flown well over a dozen times. It built Dragon, the first private spacecraft to orbit Earth, return safely and dock with the space station, and its Crew Dragon has carried astronauts for years. And it built Starlink, the largest satellite constellation ever launched, beaming the internet to millions of people, now even connecting ordinary phones directly. And when SpaceX went public, the wealth did not just sit at the top. Thousands of employees became millionaires overnight, people who had taken stock and bet years of their lives on the mission. But one person's fortune dwarfed them all. Elon Reeve Musk was born on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa. His mother, May, was a Canadian-born model and dietitian. His father, Errol, was an engineer and property developer, and the two of them have a strained relationship to this day. As a boy, Musk buried himself in books and computers and sold his first video game at age 12. He emigrated to Canada in 1989 to avoid mandatory military service, studied briefly at Queen's University, then moved to the University of Pennsylvania, where he earned dual degrees in physics and economics in 1997. He started a PhD at Stanford and quit after 2 days to chase the internet boom. What followed was a run of companies most people would need several lifetimes to build. He co-founded Zip2 and sold it for around $307 million. He built X.com, which became PayPal, and sold it to eBay in 2002 for $1.5 billion. With that money, he founded SpaceX in 2002, pouring in around $100 million of his own to chase a goal that sounded insane at the time: cut the cost of space travel and make humanity multiplanetary. He joined Tesla in 2004 and later managed it. He co-founded Neuralink for brain-computer interfaces and The Boring Company for tunnels. He founded the AI company xAI in 2023, which has since been folded into SpaceX's orbit. And in 2022, he bought Twitter for around $44 billion and rebranded it X through it all. SpaceX stayed his. Even after the IPO, Musk owns roughly 42% of the company's equity, but controls more than 82% of its voting power through supervoting shares. He holds decisive control over its strategy and its board. He is the founder, the CEO, and the chief engineer all at once. So when stocks rose, so did he. As of early July 2026, his net worth is estimated at around $1 trillion to $1.1 trillion, making him the world's first trillionaire. The bulk of it is his SpaceX stake, worth hundreds of billions on paper. After the IPO, his Tesla holdings add hundreds of billions more, and the rest is spread across xAI, X, Neuralink, and property. The man behind the money is more tangled than the balance sheet. Musk's personal life is as talked about as his company's. He married the author Justine Wilson in 2000, and the two had 6 children together, though their first son died in infancy. He married the actress Tallulah Riley twice. He has 3 children with the musician Grimes, and 4 children with a Neuralink executive, Siobhan Zillis. Reports link him to a growing number of children, and he has spoken openly about his belief in raising birth rates, a cause he calls central to humanity's future. And this is where man and headquarters finally meet. Since late 2020, Musk's main base has been in Cameron County, Texas, in the Boca Chica area, right next to Starbase. He has said he rents a modest house there from SpaceX for about $50,000. He is known for a brutal work ethic, often cited at 80 to 100 hours a week, sleeping little, driving his teams hard. His fortune is not just SpaceX and stock, either. A massive Tesla pay package tied to giant milestones could add hundreds of billions more if the targets are hit, stretched over years. But the money is only half of why he stays in the headlines. In 2025, he stepped into government with a brief, high-profile role focused on cutting federal spending, which drew both cheers and heavy backlash. His political donations, his posts, and his running of X keep him at the center of one fight or another. That is why he is one of the most divisive figures on the planet. To some, he is a heroic innovator pulling humanity towards space, clean energy, and the future. To others, he is a controversial billionaire whose politics, social media, and personal choices draw constant fire. Both things are said about him daily, and the noise never stops. If Elon and SpaceX pull off even half of what it is aiming for, this factory and that spaceport won't be remembered for what they cost. They'll be remembered as the place it all launched from. If you enjoyed this video, click on the ones showing on your screen to enjoy more.